then you should grow rice in the fields. That's what he said. And if you want to plant for decades, he said plant trees. And if you want to plant for generations, then you should build educational institutions. Yeah? We salute the visions of the founders of Trio World School here for bringing this institution here. An institution which is unlike other schools that we see. And it is very appropriate that the school today is celebrating the International Day of Mindedness. There can be no more appropriate time than to talk about mindedness. Dignitaries on the dais, His Excellency Mr. Mori-san, Deputy Consul of Japan, Mr. Naveen, Manjunath sir, and all other dignitaries and dear students. A very good morning to you all. It is no coincidence that just a week ago we celebrated the United Nations International Day of Peace. And what could be the condition for peace? That is just 1 week later when we are celebrating the International Mindedness Day. Friends, mindedness is the condition for peace. Mindedness, respecting every other individual that we come across, respecting their cultures, their language, their beliefs, the way of life. That is mindfulness. And it is heartening and very encouraging to see that an institution like this has gone all over to actually mark that day. Today, we have heard voices here about violence and wars in the world. Man actually has been at war with himself ever since. From the caveman to the Middle Ages and even to the modern suited, booted, computer era man has never left war. War, in fact, has been the second nature of man. Today, what we see across the globe is nothing new, nothing alien to what man essentially is. Man is always at war with himself. Today, the wars that we see across the continent, and there is not just one war, friends, going on. There are at least 5 wars going on across the continents. We may hear about only one, but there are wars going on across continents. And what is the solutions of war? And we talk about peace. If you want to reach that peace and abolish war, mindedness is the way towards achieving that peace. Because peace is not just the absence of violence. Peace is not just the absence of violence, and this is Martin Luther King I'm quoting. Peace is not just the absence of violence, but the presence of justice and freedom. Otherwise, the peace will be the peace of graves, the silence of the grave. Who wants that peace if I don't have justice, if I don't have my freedom? For what avail that peace if I can't talk freely? If I can't sing freely, if I can't dance freely, if somebody keeps on telling me, your language is not okay, this is not correct, I'm burdened with. Peace, therefore, is just not an absence of violence, but I mentioned the presence of justice, freedom. And to reach that justice and freedom, goals of justice and freedom, what is essentially required is mindedness, respect. Why do you think that today there are those 5 wars going on? Yes? And raise your hands, yeah? You want to say something? Yeah?
People from other countries might not like what other continents or countries are doing, so therefore they go into war with them and force them to change their ways.
Excellent. We couldn't put it better. The answer And therefore the answer to that is, if we are mindedness, if we are mindful of other people's culture and language, then we will not want to do that. We will not want to change the other people to our way of thinking. And it was again because the young boy mentioned about this, and I like to quote Mahatma Gandhi here, and he said, when you want to talk about peace, you have to begin with young minds. Because in the young minds, you need to plant the seeds of peace. It is those impressionable young minds where you can plant in the hearts and minds of those young minds, you can plant peace. If you do that, then you have nothing else to fix when they grow up. Because you have created those individuals who are mindful of the cultures, who are mindful of the way of living of other beings. And therefore, we should not underestimate the importance of today's day of mindedness. It's very important. Again, salute to the institutions for bringing this day today here. And friends, war does not just affect humans. We hear about wars in the newspapers and media. We know like bombs are dropped, missiles are dropped, so many casualties are there. So many human lives lost, so many injured. But we never hear about how many trees are destroyed, how many birds are killed. What about the wildlife there? We never talk about that. We never hear about that. Because man in his vanity is so obsessed about himself. And he also has, the man also has a universal declaration of human rights for himself. We should understand that men and humans, we share this planet with all other living beings. And those are the living beings, including the flora, fauna, the trees, the wonderful trees that we see here. They all have rights. They all have rights. And we should learn to respect that rights. And we learn to respect that rights when we are mindedness. We actually practice mindedness. So it is mindedness not just for the human beings and our fellow human beings, but also to the nature and also to the living beings and other beings who inhabit that planet with us. That is full-mindedness. Friends, and in today's times, it's most important because in the times of globalization and the economic interdependence of the world, no nation, no peoples, no individual is an island unto himself. They're all interconnected. The action of one affects indirectly or directly the actions of other. If there is an economic crisis in the states of United States, the repercussions will be felt in Asia or any other part of the world. If there is a war happening in Europe, it is going to affect all of the countries, because now it's an era and world of interdependence. It's a global area, and we are more and more reaching towards that global village, the concept of global village. And today in this institution, we see that global village actually at play when you saw these 22 countries here raising the flags. And such a beautiful experiment which is going on here in the school, I must say, creating those individuals who will be the messengers and ambassadors of peace in the times to come, because that is what is required to heal the earth, to heal humanity. And I have time? Yeah? We hear about when we meet each other, and the first thing we ask is, how are you? Right? How are you? Yeah, I'm fine, I'm doing well, I'm okay. Can we ask the same question to the earth? If we ask you want to ask the earth, how are you? And what would the answer of the earth be? I think my task is done today, because the overwhelming response said, earth is not well. Earth is not well. What has happened to the earth? We are all living on this beautiful earth. What has happened to the earth? The earth is not well. Tell me. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Anybody mic there? Just give the mic to him. He said very, very important things. Very important things. Yeah. Just let everybody share what he said. What's their name? Shaurya, please tell everybody what he said. The mic. I'm borrowing this from our Excellency. Yeah.
Yeah, so because of all of the wars that's happening now, so all of those tanks are all like, releasing missiles and stuff, and it's releasing a lot of nitrogen and all of the gases that is bad for Earth, like carbon dioxide, and yeah, it's gonna spoil our atmosphere and make our ozone layer thinner.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Chair. Somebody else wants to say, yeah?
And while some of us are very happy in our luxury, the earth is suffering because of our doing.
Oh, great. Lovely. Yeah. Just pass it on, yeah.
At wars, most people use nuclear bombs to drop on other countries, which makes radiation into the air.
Wow. Yeah. All very intelligent minds, young children. But look at the grasp.
It's not just about pollution and polluting the water. Thousands of trees are cut down every day, and most of us don't seem to be doing anything about it. Like tree organizations around the world have planted more than 20 million trees in a year. So we should not just say to everybody, clean the ocean, stop polluting the air. We should try doing it ourselves too.
I think wonderful. I think that was really amazing. Amazing. Yeah? So many people want to say. Okay. Yeah. It's your day. Go ahead.
Also, in the wars, sometimes the tanks go over plants which cause them to break. So then if this continues, then all the trees will go and then we'll have no oxygen and we'll die.
True. Yeah? Okay? Okay, there's... Yeah?
Yeah. So sometimes the world is not as bad as people think it is. Because every time a tree is cut, 10 more is planted by the corporate. And also, there is another problem. It's not just about killing animals because they want meat. It's just because sometimes also animals being too overpopulated might also destroy the plants. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a good insight. Yeah. So can we? Okay. It's their day. I can't stop them. They want to speak. Yeah. Yes. If the school permits, is it okay? Yeah.
When we are polluting the air and the ocean and killing the animals and killing the humans, trying to kill ourselves, we're diminishing our food, we're killing our fellows, we're polluting our water, we're trying to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. Can I? Yeah? Thank you. It was an excellent response from and that really shows what wonderful work this institution is doing. Thanks to Manjunath sir and Mr. Naveen for creating this awareness in the young minds. I did not see such awareness, people talking about radiation and deforestation. Excellent. So just one thing that came about is about the trees that you said, and just to give you one small statistics, I'll just wrap up in 2 minutes. In the world total is 1/3 of the total land area is covered by forest. That is statistics. So 1/3 of the land on earth is forests or tree cover. And that is about 4.06 billion hectares. Billion hectares, 4.0. What happened is, every 2 years, the United Nations does a study on what is the state of forests in the country, in the world. So they did a study every 2 years, and the last report was released in the month of May 2022, 3 months ago. And the study was very shocking, revealing. What it said is, in the last 30 years, that's from 1990 to 2020, the world has lost 420 million hectares trees. That means about 10% of the forests have been lost in the last 30 years. That is huge. And we are talking in the times when the world actually has a roadmap for tackling the crisis of climate change. We have Paris Agreement with us, which has told us that we have to keep the temperature, rise of temperature below 2 degrees of the pre-industrial levels. 2 degrees is what we need to do. And trees are very important to reach that goal. So on one side, we have a solution to go and plant trees because we want to keep temperature rise below 2 degrees. On the other hand, we are busy cutting trees. So that calls for all of us students here. Everybody should plant one tree. On their birthdays, or whatever day you feel, you should plant trees. And so we have launched recently a project Reforestation to plant 1 million trees. We have just launched in the World Environment Day here. The Honorable Governor launched the first tree in the Raj Bhavan Governor House. So I was talking to Mr. Naveen, and the institution has done a wonderful job. The whole institution is full of green. So much that there's no place to plant trees here. That's kudos to this institution. And so this has to be taken further. And I will finally, I would say, what was the theme of the World Peace Day last week? Very important. The theme of the United Nations International Day of Peace, which was on 21st September, just exactly one before, the theme was End Racism. End racism. This theme is so profound. And at the outset, the United Nations could actually bring this theme, this issue, as a theme for its day, is a big realization of the problems that the world faces today. The wars that we see in Europe and elsewhere, at the heart of that war, at the core of that difference is problems of racism. And that is where, if we have mindedness, therefore this is so important. Mindedness is so important to combat that racism. Therefore it is important. See friends, whatever may be the color of the skin, whatever may be the shades of the skin that may there. And let me tell you how the color of the skin comes. It's like, if you're making a bread, and so you're keeping it on the fire. If you pick it up early, it is little lighter color. The more you bake it, the more the color becomes dense. Right? Do you agree with me? Yeah? So it's like this. Whatever may be the color and shades of your skin, but friends, the color of the blood inside is always red. It will always be red. And finally, whatever part of the world we may come from, we all dance on the same beat as that person was dancing. We all dance. Put on the music and everybody will dance, whatever part of the world we are, and we'll have the same moves and same steps. I think that is what it's all about. That is what is about mindedness, about respecting. And here, finally, it was the Holiness Dalai Lama who said, compassion is the radicalism of times. It's compassion which will lead to mindedness. And in the end, I will say that, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world shall have peace. Thank you very much.